Thank you for tuning in to watch our third Invest Pittsburgh Leadership Summit. You're about to watch panel number 2, Next Gen Leaders. How will the leaders of the future differ from today's leaders? And what can employers do now to train the next gen pipeline? Be sure to like and subscribe for more leadership insights. Enjoy.
I just wanted to start by saying thanks, Ryan, Abby, and Invest Pittsburgh for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. I'm Reed Jetzel. I'm president of Etzel Engineer and Build. We're a engineering and construction company located just 30 miles north of Pittsburgh. We specialize in design, build, construction, in commercial construction, in transportation, in energy, and then also in mission critical. So mission critical would include computer rooms and data centers. And right now we are crazy busy on data centers. So I've been around probably 30 years in the data center industry, and I can say I have not experienced anything close to what we're seeing today. If you take a normal computer cabinet, and sorry to get a little technical here, but it's 3 foot wide, 4 foot deep, 7 foot tall. 4 years ago, we used to design those to be 6 to 8 kW per cabinet, power in the room, in the cabinet, which was a lot. Well, at least we thought it was. And now we're designing and building cabinets at 70 kW, which is 10 times what it was 3-4 years ago. And we're future-proofing it to 100 kW per cabinet. And also, we're being told by the industry that 200 is not that far away, a couple of years down the road. So what we're seeing is just a total explosion of what data centers are doing. So ultimately, those power requirements used to be you could cool it with air conditioning, just computer room air conditioners, flooding the room with air. That doesn't even come close to it anymore. Now you got to do liquid cooling, a very specialized cooling system that goes directly to the chip, or there's what's called immersion technology, where they immerse the computer chip in the liquid to cool it. The saying I have is that if you're in the data center industry, everybody's going to need to be a plumber. So that's kind of where we're at. And so ultimately, what I say here is, what's that mean for Pittsburgh? What's that mean for our region? I was in a summit last year, a technology summit in Pittsburgh here, where one of the speakers did a evaluation of the top 20 cities in the United States to build data centers, and Pittsburgh was number 1. So we have a lot of resources, a lot of stuff that really sets us apart. We have a decent amount of stranded electrical capacity, which obviously is needed. So that's one good thing. Brownfields that are basically shovel ready now. We probably have close to 15 that we could do and start building data centers fairly quickly. We have an abundance of natural gas. I think that was probably one of the biggest things that set us apart too. The generator, the backup systems are going to be natural gas that's going to generate the systems. A lot of the talk is about bringing your own power. If you're building a data center, you got to bring your own power. You got to bring your own generators, and that natural gas will be a large part of that. The other thing we have is an unbelievably talented and educated workforce. If we look at the unions and the people here that our workforce, it wasn't a couple of years ago, we were building a cracker plant and $1 billion addition on the airport at the same time with the manpower that we had. So that's another big thing that sets us apart. And then fiber, there was a missing link between eastern and western Pennsylvania, and the fiber connection has gotten to be a lot better. They're running across the turnpike, which was a massive project, and they're just about done with that. So I think that's all part of it. And then ultimately, the proximity to eastern population centers gives Pittsburgh an edge on that also. So a lot of interest, a lot of people interested in coming here, and the numbers and the projects just blow my mind. You know, there's a $10+ billion project in Homer City where they're taking an old gas or old coal-fired generator station and making it natural gas, and then building a data center on top of it. There's also another data center that's looking at Shippingsport, the Bruce Mansfield site down in Beaver. There's another data center that's being built or looked to be built in Beaver, another one in Cheswick or Springdale, and the list just goes on. There's just a lot of really good interest in the city. So most of the companies that are looking to come in have pretty strong investment backing, pretty well funded, which is a good thing. It's really pretty early in the process. It's not going to be like, I did a project a couple of years ago in Columbus, and it felt like overnight. Everybody, Amazon, Google, they all moved into Columbus and like that. It probably won't be that way. It'll be somewhat more sustained. We're ultimately pretty cautiously optimistic. We think it's a good city and it's a good place to expand to. And one of the things that I think that really talks about manpower and stuff like that, we see companies building a $10 billion project in Homer City. And in order to get that manpower to that facility, they're talking about offering above base rates for electricians and plumbers and such. So to the sound, they're like maybe $15 to $20 an hour more to pay them to go to Homer City. So ultimately, that's good for them and good. We talked about the shortcomings of the construction industry. That kind of money will change people to where they actually go into that service. But I think ultimately then it's going to put a heavy strain on managing and feeding the data center, the construction in this area. The construction cost in this area will probably go up just because of all the manpower that's used in these other big data center projects. So a friend of mine always says, may you live in interesting times. I would have to say I'm there right now, very interesting times. So our tagline is design-led performance builders. And what that means to me is in order for us to be able to build a data center, everybody in our entire team, the architect, the engineer, the project manager, the construction manager, the superintendent, the subcontractors, and the vendors all have to perform. And at the end of the day, the building that we built, the data center that we built, it has to perform like nothing you've ever seen. So I thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We all live in walking distance, so I get to see perspectives from 4 different generations, all the way from before my parents. I'm a boomer, and then we go to middle school. So there are a lot of differences. We're going to talk about that. I will say that one thing I have noted is how work is being revisited. Obviously, we're going to talk about that. Jobs are being reconfigured. And when we were in Japan, they refer to this as Society 5.0 cybernetics, where there's this seamless fusion of humans, robots, AI, informatics. This will affect everything, from nursing to early childhood education to snow removal. And it has a lot to do with our jobs of the future, our organizations, and the people that fill those jobs. I like to think of it as my car. I have a Lexus, and it's a fusion of myself, my iPhone, and the vehicle, and all 3 are needed. I'm also looking at a time where leisure is revisited. So you look at my generation, okay, we kept Sundays sacred, maybe Saturday. Now, as you all know, there's a whole different attitude toward leisure, but also we have 2 people here from the wealth management background. People are talking about early retirement, very early retirement. And it worries me a little bit because we know about a baby bust, and I'm wondering who's going to fill jobs. Maybe it's machines, maybe it's technology. But the other thing that I think about with early retirement. I just hope the generation is prepared for this 4-generation caregiving, where as a middle-aged adult, they may be caring for children, even their children's children. They may be caring for parents and grandparents. So we'll have some interesting things to talk about. I'm going to have each of the panelists introduce themselves. Would you just give your title, your organization, and tell us at least something about what your organization does? Bethany, I'll begin with you.
All right, good morning. I'm Bethany Bryant. I'm a regional managing director of Glenmede. Glenmede is a multifamily office wealth management firm, and we serve high net worth multi-generational families and a lot of endowments and foundations, and help connect the organization or the family's goals with your wealth management implementation.
Good morning, everyone. Ken Scaggs, Market President for Aon in Pittsburgh. Aon is a global insurance broker, and we specialize in risk and human capital.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Stephen Gerard. I work for NRG Energy. I am the Vice President of the East Region for Commercial Industrial Sales. NRG is a energy provider, so we provide to homes and businesses across the North American footprint. We're also really big into the AI data center space now. That's been a big growth engine for us, and we can talk a little bit more about that in a bit.
Hi, I'm Joseph Thompson. I work for Baird, a wealth management company headquartered in Milwaukee. I'm a senior vice president and a branch manager for 2 of our locations here, Wexford and Strip District. And we are wholly employee owned, and we are one of the most successful companies going on now.
Well, thank you all. And I'm going to begin with a question for everyone. So in what way does the talent pipeline, particularly of young talent, how does it look different to you? And how is your organization adapting? We'll go right down the line. Bethany, if you don't mind, start with you.
A couple of things I would note. I think Sally mentioned we have 5 generations. I have people in my organization from age 70 to 23. Right, it's a big span of age groups that we have in our organization. And then secondly, I might say, if you just look at the trend of even early career individuals coming into an organization with no prior work experience or very little, may just be a 3-month internship. 20 years ago, 1 in 3 high school students had a job. That was getting a W-2. Maybe more of them actually were doing things like mowing lawns and, babysitting. Today, less than 1 in 5 has actually had a job before they were in college. And so just the amount of just work experience, the ability to navigate a workplace is, I think, really impactful. And I think it's our job as maybe more experienced leaders in the organization to expose them to the folks in the organization that have 10, 20, 30 years of experience. And, we very much operate on an apprenticeship model, and I think that will certainly only help to ramp our younger, earlier career individuals faster.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we on? Yeah, I think, today's pipeline of talent, it's just so different from where I started. I think the biggest change from my mentors to myself is I took the tie off. Right, like that's pretty much it. Then we went through the pandemic and it's work from home, and so many things have changed. I think today's the talent pipeline that's coming through really is it's diverse. It's tech fluent. It is values driven, and the new workforce is really looking for responsibility in their job. So what we try to do is when we see future leaders, attach them to some of our major clients' accounts, and not to lead the whole thing, but to really focus on managing a project from start to finish and being that end point. So they gain that responsibility, but they get to see how everything works. you're not throwing them in the deep end all alone. It's really just to get them to see how things work and come along as we did in just a different setting.
Okay, thank you. It's interesting because, on a positive side, one of the things that we see is we see students or new hires that have a tremendous amount of curiosity and they want to learn, and those are the people that we really focus on when we hire. And honestly, some of the most innovative things that I've seen in our business in the last couple of years have come from our newer hires. They're willing to try different things. They're use tools like Copilot for us to come up with agents that some of our more experienced workforce is a little bit afraid to touch. The thing that we have to really focus on with them, though, is social skills, right? And that is one thing that we find that they are lacking a little bit. Some of it is probably pandemic driven, but it's getting them back into the workforce, whether it's once a month or a few times a week, and learning to interact with those more senior leaders, and showing them that building a network, doing an event like this, is just as critical as being able to use Excel or Copilot.
So I think it's I've been 27 years in the industry, and so I feel like there's a lot of people that have been in the same job for 30 years plus, but today's pipeline, sometimes they've had 26 jobs in a year. It's very different. If you look at the pipeline today, it's very different, from what it was maybe even 5 years ago. You have young professionals that are coming in with some skills, but digital fluency, obviously from use of the cell phone. And they come in with a vision of wanting to get into leadership right away. I'm good with that. I think what we are realizing from Baird is that we have to be very intentional about it. And so we are involving them right from the beginning, in what we do, in meetings, especially those that are aspiring to be advisors. They are not going to sit on the sidelines for long like it used to be. You shadow, you work with a senior advisor for 10 years before you get a crack at the book. They come in and they're ready to go. So we're being very intentional about incorporating them with what we do. We've also created a coaching culture. So what we're doing is we're involving them in some things here. We feel they are probably the leaders of tomorrow. And so for them to be invested in what we do, we have to bring them in and show them what we do, so that when they get in the seat, it's nothing new for them. But like I agree with you, there's a lot of probably psychological hand-holding that we have to do with them, because many of them come in and they want to be in your position in 6 weeks. They don't understand that it's years of loyalty, it's years that you've built, and it's endless times, and you've paid your dues. They want to come in and just get on the seat. So that's kind of the talent we see around.
Oh, Joseph, you are so correct. We had a new young staff person came to us right from college, wanted to know if she could sit in on senior staff. And I said, well, you have to sort of earn it. That was a very odd thought. So let me ask you all an interesting question. There's a lot of talk about team culture. So I know in my organization, we really believe in team culture. And you've mentioned mentoring, which is important. How do you build a team culture when people want to work at home, when they meet on Zoom, and when gathering around the office coffee machine or in the lunchroom is kind of a thing of the past in many organizations? So how do you build a team culture? How do you foster mentoring at your organizations in this world of distance? So let's go the other direction. Joseph, can I start with you?
Sure. I think in a lot of ways, work from home has been both a blessing and a curse. I think we always want to give people the flexibility to work from home. If somebody is sick, I don't want them dragging the virus to the workplace. You can work from home, that's fine. But then you also run into problems where somebody that is so sick that on a normal day cannot work is just trying to utilize work from home because they don't want to burn a vacation day. We've been very intentional about teaming. prior to me joining my company, it used to be that if a group needs a team member, we go out, they hire, and you're sitting there and they're like, here you go, here's your team member. We've been very intentional now where if HR does the interview, they send it over to the branch. The branch leaders interview these candidates, and then whichever advisor team needs that person gets involved in the interview process. We don't want it to come across like an arranged marriage where we just, we just come over and throw somebody to. We want them involved. Historically, if you were looking for a team member and I just bring you somebody and it doesn't work out, it's not your problem, it's my problem. When we get them involved, we've seen that they tend to be a part of the solution because they were involved in the hiring. They met the person, they had lunch with the person, they've talked several times, so they're more like, let's give you some time, let's do this, let's do that. So it's been working for us. Again, in our business too, and I'm sure in yours, a lot of us are embracing team. One advisor cannot know it all. The team approach has always been very phenomenal. I have, multi-generational teams that have been outperforming solo practitioners. So we've been very intentional about how we organize teams and who we match with who.
And I know, Steve, you mentioned the importance of social skills. And, that sort of came a little bit with team culture. So talk to us.
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, it's the first thing you have to do is senior leadership, executive leadership have to have a common set of values and vision. And we do have that at NRG. And we try to let that, get down to the organization, and we take feedback from all of our employees, because if you don't do that, what happens is you get these little, what I like to say, fiefdoms that are out there in different parts of the organizations, in between departments or geography. The other piece of it is you have to be intentional, right? You have to, when you're having a Teams or a Zoom meeting, what is the purpose of that meeting? Is it truly to make a business decision, or is it more of an activity to engage people because you haven't seen them in a while? And then when people come in the office, again, whether they're supposed to come a few days a week or once a month, or they truly are somebody in a remote location coming to visit here in Pittsburgh, like one of our salespeople, I think it's leadership has to make sure that they're available and that they're willing to see people. And when people come into the office, they understand why they're coming in, what they're doing. You should have your one-on-one meeting with your manager in person, not over Zoom. If you can put it off for a day to do that, those little things are really important. I think that's what makes the difference and can bridge the gap in this hybrid world that we live in.
So we don't have the same problem of getting people into the office. Our younger colleagues want to be in. I guess we do. We have a problem with the older colleagues trying to getting them in. They've gotten a little taste of retirement from work from home. They're like, oh, I can do these things and still be paid for it. But we want to make sure that they're coming in to act as mentors to the future leaders, right? So it's a little bit different there for us. But I think for overall, we try to team up our more junior colleagues or high performers with senior mentors that are not micromanagers. No one needs to review an email 15 times before it goes out. We want to make sure that they have the pathway for success, that we're removing any obstacles for them, and letting them learn on their own with oversight.
Certainly some businesses are more conducive to work from home work arrangements than others. Certainly if you're in the manufacturing space, that's very difficult if you're running a plant and a product. I'm in the professional services type of industry, and so people are our product. But I think, while many like the work from home option, I think what we've all realized in most industries is that some sort of hybrid is actually the best of both worlds, right? People get the ability to work independently and clean up their desk, and yet we all recognize that workplaces are very social places, right? And you're willing to, jump through some hoops and help a colleague, rolling up your sleeves, if you have a good working relationship with them and you know them well. And I think there's significant value in having a very personal relationship with your colleagues and not just an arm's length working relationship with them, right? Like, you're willing to go to bat as a team. And I think we're all realizing that the hybrid is maybe the best of both worlds.
I have discovered that you're at a cocktail party and you're talking to someone you don't know very well and you want a conversation starter. Say, how do you feel about work from home? You won't have any trouble getting conversation going. So I know we're very team-oriented at the foundation. So when I'm interviewing an applicant for a job, one thing I always ask is, how would you feel about not getting credit for something you've done well? Because you'll be sharing it with the team. It's not, the culture isn't such that you will always get a trophy for something that went well. So I'm going to ask each of you, I know this is a tough one, when you're interviewing prospective workers in your organization, what is the one thing you want to know about them that will fit with the culture of your organization? Bethany, is it fair to start with you?
I want to know that somebody is kind of humble and optimistic and has grit, right? Like, we all work in environments where, what you may have thought you were going to do today didn't pan out, and you've 6 other things on your desk that you didn't expect, and your ability to kind of navigate change, be optimistic about it, and pivot in a way that's productive for both you and the organization, and then persevere through any of those day-to-day challenges are things that I look for when I'm engaging anybody really at any age.
Terrific.
So I don't interview the standard way. So I think there's a few colleagues of mine that would attest to that. Not that I don't care where you see yourself in 5 years, but I don't know what I'm doing next week. So I just want to hear from you. I want to make sure that, I know our clients. I know what it takes to present to them, to, be the one who has to put out some fires, be the one who, champions a new deal for them. So I look for people, especially my interview process, it's just a conversation. I want to get to know them, how they would respond. At some point during the process, I will kind of turn on in my brain that I am the client and start asking a few questions, and just to see their responses. And it really is to see how they were brought up, what they think of, how advanced or critical if they apply critical thinking. And we've interviewed lots of people. I select a very few out of that bunch. It's just they've got to fit the culture. Culture is so, it's a term that's thrown around a lot, but culture for us at Aon is truly supportive. We are a team mentality, and every client that gets their account team, no one is truly at the top. Yeah, there's the client will call one person over another, but we see that everybody pitches in, and if someone's on vacation, if someone just needs help because they've got another project going on, we're all going to jump in for it. So we look for that to make sure that that person is going to be able to fill in and jump in at that time.
Yeah, 2 things I look for, during the course of the interview process is, the first one is really accountability. Did that person, take accountability for, a situation that maybe didn't go the way that they thought it would, or did they just blame the process or other people on the team? I think if you're going to have a team, being accountable is really important, and that's a big deal for us at NRG. The second one, and I already mentioned this at the beginning, is we want people that are curious, right? We want them to learn. Most people coming into the energy industry don't know what a megawatt hour is or a decatherm. I heard, I think Regis talk about KW, so our table was excited about that. But most people don't, and so we have to teach them. But to teach them, they have to be able to want to be curious and go learn on themselves as well.
Thank you. I'm typically not involved in the initial interviewing process, but some way, somehow, sometimes I end up with very interesting candidates. What I really look for is someone that wants to build a career with my firm. And so I have one question that I will ask. I'll give you 2 minutes to tell me everything you know about Baird, the company. And there are many people that don't answer. That tells me you're looking for a job. You're not looking to build a career. If you're looking to build a career, you do your research. Because even any journey you take, you plan and you take a first step. So if you don't know why you are here, I don't know either. And I've declined many candidates on that ground. So you have 2 minutes to talk to me about why you want to work here and what you know about the company. And if you don't, nice meeting you.
So I think we have one question left, and maybe a trick one, but think about this. So you're assembling your senior team, the people who report to you, and you're saying to them, look, we're recruiting a new generation. You know, things have changed, and we may need to change a bit as an organization. So what would you say to them? What things do you think of when you look down the road at your organization and you say, like it, don't like it, this is what the pipeline looks like, this is what we may have to do a little differently? So Joseph, I'm going to throw this to you and go in that direction.
Maybe for some people, I might recommend early retirement because
That's where the wealth managers come in, right?
it's funny you say that because we are in something like that where we have, I have people that always begin the sentence with back in the 80s, and before they finish the rest of it, and I say, well, we're in 2026, so let's start from the end of the sentence and come to the beginning. Maybe you will drop back in the 80s. I think it's really a big thing right now because you look in the pipeline, you look at the kind of candidates that we have. They want it now. Some of it is that most of probably some of our innovative ideas have also come from them, because with this digital expansion and AI and everything, they seem to be more well versed than say my 80-year-old advisor who is still actually having client meetings and recording everything on paper, versus somebody that's like, hey, I can get you this, or we can record. Your cell phone can record the minutes. You can put it in CRM. You can get all these technology. So there's some good attributes to this younger generation that are in the pipeline. It's just I feel that sometimes the attitude to work might be a little bit different, and the nature of the clothing and everything can leave you sometimes dumbfounded, where they come in and it's like, we have a meeting today, so why are you wearing something that looks like a pair of jeans? So it's been a little bit challenging, but with the right team and with the right mentoring, some of them are really shaping out to be good young men that are embracing that you have a client, you have a $2, $3, $4, $5 million client. It's a different presentation from going to the club, and that seems to be working.
Those were candid and fun. Thank you, Joseph.
I think, and we've gone through this recently at NRG and really focused on succession, and really our direction has been our new leaders have to be more adaptable earlier in their career, right? I think for some of us, a lot of things didn't change as quickly as they are today. And so our new leaders have to change very quickly. And I think our job as leaders is to give them that safe space so that they can learn. And when they do fail, that we can help pick them up and they know that, hey, this isn't necessarily the end of the world. They can learn, fail quickly, maybe is maybe a way to say it, and then they can move on to the next thing. But that's really been our focus.
Yeah, I agree. In a market like Pittsburgh with advanced analytics, AI, digital platforms, it's just in the DNA right now. We want to foster that for our future leaders. We want people that make decisions with the data, and not so much the gut or intuition that we've all used. The numbers don't lie, and the information in the data is much more accurate than anyone's intuition, although keep the intuition going as well. We need people that are going to translate the complex data that will, and so they can apply it to a client narrative. Clients are seeing all of this stuff, so we're constantly fostering that tech fluent rather than tech friendly qualities in the next generation of leaders. So yeah, I think I'll leave it at that.
Leadership is all about influence, influencing others, bringing other people along, alignment of people, and to be honest with you, we can, particularly in this digital age, we can, the technical skills are there, right, and those are easy to teach anybody. It's the soft skills, it's the EQ, it's the empathy, it's the willingness to say no to somebody when you need to say no, and that's not the easiest thing to do. How are you handling conflict? How are you sitting in front of a client and having a healthy debate in a way that's respectful? So I think it's all about teaching those interpersonal skills and bringing people along. Some of that just comes with maturity and experience and a little bit of gravitas. It doesn't happen overnight. Those are probably the more difficult skills to teach, but those are the leaders of the future, those that have those soft skills, and less about the technical skills.
Well, I thank you. I'm just going to add something since our chief communication officer is here. And he did come to me and said, with things going on the way they are, we need a secure ChatGPT protective system. So actually, I have no idea, Scotland, what you're talking about, but I said, yes. So that's how things are differing for all of us, and we're all trying to keep up with the new generation. So I can't thank the panel enough. You were wonderful, and you gave me so many ideas. I hope other people got them as well. Thank you.